People once believed that when someone dies, a crow carries their soul to the land of the dead. But sometimes, just sometimes, the crow can bring that soul back to put the wrong things right.
You're all going to die.
Is that gasoline I smell?
Victims, aren't we all?
Hell yeah. He's social distancing from me.
Are we on?
Yes, we've been on for like a couple seconds.
All right. Just trying to stay safe.
Hell yeah.
COVID's back.
I know.
Like, everyone's wearing masks again.
Well, I'm not right now.
What? I don't feel safe.
This is my mask.
You're like, yeah! Sorry. Whoa.
That lasted 5 seconds.
Oh, it was weird because I started wearing masks again. Because, like, a lot of places, like, it's becoming normal again.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
The Delta Quadrant variant is back. Or here, I guess I should say. It's only a matter of time until the masks came back.
You ready to get your booster? No one likes you, booster.
Booster Gold. Yeah, I mean, I'm down for pretty much anything that needs to be done. I don't know. I guess if we're going to get into that, like...
This is the show where we get political.
Well, we can say whatever we want to say, because this is our podcast.
Just like the Addams Family.
We do what we want to say. Never mind, I'm not going to say that.
Do what we want.
Our version is not. But yeah, like, I think that, honestly, the, I don't know. It sucks because it's like the people are being punished that were actually up on it and like nice about it and like thoughtful the first time, because the people that like aren't going to be punished still won't be punished. It's not like the people that aren't going to wear masks, like they're just going to keep throwing fits and shit. So it's like, I think eventually though what's going to happen is like, because we were talking about this last night on Discord, is I think what's going to happen is like the insurance companies are eventually going to be like get involved and be like, dude, we can't keep like we're not going to keep paying for people to be on ventilators that don't have masks and don't get vaccinated. So they're going to go to the companies and be like, we're going to give you huge discounts if all your employees are vaccinated, and then the companies will mandate vaccinations. So eventually it'll happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is it's sad as fuck that it has to even come to that. Because when we were growing up, it's like we went and got like hepatitis vaccinations and like when you're born you get like smallpox vaccinations and all this other shit. It wasn't even like a thing where you could think to not get one, and then slowly like anti-vaxxing became a thing like way before COVID. But, like, it was like you would hear someone being like, I'm an anti-vaxxer, and everybody was like, that person's an idiot. Like, they're like, like the town witch. They're, like, crazy. But then it became, like, political, and that's when it became sexual.
We just lost so many Buddy Boys followers because they're all conspiracy theorists.
Well, you brought this up.
Sorry. Once again, I derailed everything.
That's okay. I mean, I don't really care. If people can believe whatever they want to believe until it starts, like, harming other people. Like, if you want to believe in, this or that religion-wise, or if you want to believe in this or that political-wise, but if it starts impacting
If you
other
don't,
people's
if you
lives
want to believe
negatively.
Tusk isn't good, that's your prerogative.
If you want to believe the truth, then become a sexual dynamo.
You're getting turned into a walrus.
You could. Yeah. I don't really know what it will. You brought this up, so what are your thoughts on it? I guess if you're gonna, unless you just wanted to hear me talk about it.
No, I was pretty pumped for a while.
I got a turtle head poking. I've just been thinking about that the whole time.
I was super pumped when I got my vaccine and started just living the normal life again.
Yeah.
And now it's like, pump the brakes. Not quite yet, folks.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks. It's due to, like, thoughtless people that don't care about anything but themselves. So it's like, yeah.
I blame it on the bats. It's their fault.
A lot of the Gotham City villains feel the same. The fucking bat! So, do you have anything else to say on the subject before we move on to the podcast?
Let's move on to the good stuff.
It's all downhill from here, folks. Actually, it's all uphill from here. Or is it? You decide. Leave a like and a comment and report us for goatee inhibitions. Do you want to go first this time for nerd news?
All right. So, my nerd news for the week, it's not really news. It's just something I heard
You're like,
about.
I started wearing a mask again because of COVID. I'm like...
It's something I heard about on a podcast that was a funny story, which I guess that's technically news. But one of my favorite podcasts that I like to listen to, they last week went to a horror convention in Philadelphia, and Martin Kove was there.
Oh shit, what was the convention called?
I forget what it was called. I can't remember. But they said the guest list was lacking, I think. I don't remember.
That was kind of the way it was when we went to Flashback Weekend.
Yeah.
But it was like the first convention that was kind of like held since stuff started lifting, but now it's like, once again, what the fuck's going to happen with COVID?
Yeah.
I don't even know if the Comic Expo is going to happen or what, so we'll see.
I hope so.
Yeah. I think it'll just be very, like, it's supposed to be like, certain guests will have like separation with like glass and stuff, and it's kind of like, that sucks, but I mean, it's smart. It's just kind of like, anyway, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so Martin Kove at one point kind of broke away from his booth or whatever, and like came in through the doors on like the floor, and he yelled, "Cobra Kai never die," or whatever. Is that their slogan? Did I get it right? Cobra Kai never die, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a couple different things, but yeah, I think that's.
But he yelled it like out to the floor, expecting like everyone to be like, "Woohoo!" And it was like total crickets, and he just had an embarrassed look on his face and he ran away. Dude, I would have been pumped if I would have seen that. I would have been like, "Yeah, woo!" You know, it's Martin
also
Kove.
kind of like Martin Kove is best known for Kreese and the Karate Kid saga, and he's been in like maybe a couple things horror related, but like that's not what he's known for.
Yeah.
So it could have also been like a
Not his audience.
People, because I've been to horror conventions like where people were completely like oblivious to anything that isn't horror related, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, but I thought it was cool that Martin Kove's like
Kind of
a cool dude.
in front of his fucking, in front of
was
everyone.
humiliated.
You're like, fuck that asshole. Miyagi for life.
So that's my nerd news for the week. A funny thing I heard about.
Sorry, Martin Kove. We just embarrassed you once again. Actually, no, we didn't. You embarrassed yourself. Actually, the people at the convention embarrassed themselves because they didn't realize who Martin Kove was. I saved that one. For Di Maria. So, there's actually a couple things that I wanted to kind of talk about here. One of them is recently we talked to Randy Couture at Flashback Weekend, and he was talking about Expendables 4. But I just found out that it's actually going to be called Expendables: A Christmas Story, because it's based on it's like a mainly focused one on Jason Statham's character.
Really?
So it's less like an Expendables 4 on, like they'll all be in it, but it's going to be mainly based on, like, I guess, like on him.
What?
Yeah.
Are you joking?
No, which I was kind of disappointed.
That's like an April Fool's joke, is what
Yeah.
it sounds like.
But that's why I was kind of like, man, okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Lee Christmas is a great character.
I think that he's probably one of the best people if you're going to base something around.
Oh yeah,
because
totally. He's the only relevant like action
well, he's
star.
also one of the younger people.
Right.
Like everybody else besides like, well, that's not true. Like, what's his face? Like Randy Couture and like, but like he doesn't really have the same drawing power. But like, I would say, what's his face? The dude that they left out of the last one, like hardcore. He was like.
Terry Crews.
Yeah, Terry Crews would have been somebody that I would have watched the whole.
Yeah, and I think Wesley Snipes is still in his prime too.
Yeah. Yeah, that I don't know. It could be okay, but this is also treading into like Fast and Furious, like Hobbs and Shaw territory, where it's like, do we really need like all these movies, and then on top of that, like in the midst of like making a shit ton of like Fast and Furious films, we're making like a side movie, like I don't know. Like, to me, this is... I'll still be interested to see it. Like, I'm sure we'll see it, but it's kind of like... I think it depends on how much involvement, like, the other people have. Because to me, like, the last movie was a little disappointing because Terry Crews was like, oh, he's sick or something. So they just, like, wrote him out of the movie. But he wasn't really sick in real life. It was just... I don't know what the fuck happened. It was like...
Well, if they call it a Christmas story and it's a Christmas themed action,
that would actually be kind of funny.
Yeah,
yeah. But we'll see if that's the case or not. That would make sense, but I guess like they officially titled The Matrix Resurrection, and then
sounds about right.
Yeah. Apparently, I didn't know this, but like Neil Blomkamp was gonna make like Aliens 5, but like when what's his face like read the script, he's like, he will never make a fucking Aliens
Ridley Scott
movie. Yeah, and I was like,
you like put the kibosh on it.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, fuck you.
Well, I read about that too, and wasn't it he also didn't like Chappie? He was like, Chappie sucked, so we're not gonna, he's fired basically.
Yeah, he was like, it's possible that Ridley Scott, director of Alien, watched Chappie, and he was like, this guy can't do Aliens, so let's just go ahead and move on.
But it's like, dude, Chappie is actually good.
But like the person that wrote this article was like, Chappie was a huge failure.
Okay, was that Slash Film?
No.
Okay, I thought I read the same thing where...
But it was on Geek Tyrant, which they could have just copied it from.
Yeah, he editorialized, like, Chappie was terrible.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, what are you talking about?
I don't think anybody that's actually seen Chappie...
I mean, it was a huge bomb.
But that doesn't mean it was
It doesn't mean it wasn't good.
I think it's just like the person didn't see it. But
I'm
like,
surprised.
His idea for it was like pretty legit from what I was reading. But it was something different because it would have also... It was gonna like just pick up after Aliens and like ignore anything after that, which is, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of like when they like do this or that with a franchise because they did that with like Superman Returns and they're doing that with like Halloween Kills. But like at the same point, like acknowledging that shit sucked and being like, okay, well, like I think it didn't work out for Superman Returns because that maybe just kind of wasn't that great. But it worked out for like John Carpenter with Halloween because they were able to like knock all the other bullshit out and be like, okay, I wasn't really involved with these other ones. Let's just get back to the roots of what made this franchise good. But instead, like fucking Ridley Scott is like, we're gonna do this, and then like it's like, what have you done with Aliens that was any good lately? Jack, fuck.
And Jack left town.
I think that's what pissed me off because it was like, dude, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But sadly, he's able to put the kibosh on shit like that. But
yeah. But
the only other thing is like I was actually kind of interested in this Sylvester Stallone movie coming out called like Samaritan.
Previously reported on Nerd News on this show.
Yeah, I guess they had like a CinemaCon 2021 trailer that was like behind closed doors, and it just looks like, I don't know, it just sounds really cool.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So, but other than that, that's all the nerd news that I have.
You brought it this week.
Yeah. Sadly, I didn't get to embarrass Martin Cove.
That was my goal.
Yeah. So let's move on to recommendation.
Recommendation!
Nation. How do I turn this light off back here? Because that shit's like
Nation!
blowing the fuck out of my ass. But not the picture. It's a little darker in here, but like it's not like it's not as bright now in the background, so makes sense, right? It's funny here because
wait, I turned the light off and it got dark.
It's funnier. It's funny because like it seems like darker in here than when we did it last week.
Well, it's not quite as bright and sunny out as.
Yeah, it's true. It just got that raining where I live. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. Not really a strong recommendation this week, but I did want to talk about it.
You better bring it with these movie notes, motherfucker. No, I'm just kidding.
I did. No.
No.
You'll like this because I watched The Fabulous Mr. Dundee. I paid money to rent The Fabulous Mr. Dundee.
Oh my god, dude. I still haven't seen that, but I've watched all of his other films, and even the one he did right before he kind of retired, where he was like...
He's in his 80s
he
now.
went all like Jesus-y.
Yeah.
And he became like an angel or something in one of his films. Because I was a huge fan of Paul Hogan, I think his name is.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the first Crocodile Dundee is like, cult classic. The other ones are kind of like shit. It's like essentially the same shit over and over again.
Yeah.
And the last one's like, you can tell it's like got no budget. But it's still Paul Hogan, and he's pretty interesting in films. So.
Yeah.
It sucks that he didn't do more stuff just as like characters here and there, but I also feel like that was kind of a lightning in the bottle thing for him. Like, I don't know. But what do you have to say about this film?
I'm glad I saw it. It's not good.
Yeah.
And it's really,
I assumed it wasn't going to be. It looked like
it's really cheap looking, but
Yeah.
it has got a good cast. Like it had Reginald Vell Johnson is one of the main characters in it. John Cleese, Chevy Chase. I thought Mel Gibson was in it, but he's only in it in like clips from like when he's on red carpets and stuff.
I remember seeing IMDb before the movie came out, and like it said he was in the movie, so that's why I was kind of like, oh, this is huge.
Yeah, he's not.
It's kind of weird.
But the story is like he plays himself, not Crocodile Dundee,
Right.
but he like tries to become popular again, and like he keeps messing up. So people like the first part of the movie, they want to do a remake of or like a reboot of Crocodile Dundee and introduce a new generation, like his son, and they wanted it to be played by Will Smith. And Paul Hogan's like, wait a minute, what? And it gets turned around like, Paul Hogan's a racist.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that keeps happening.
Yeah.
But then eventually he redeems himself by throwing a can and like hitting a robber.
That's
like he did in the
funny.
original
Real life.
So
Oh my god.
you'd probably like it. But there was one great joke in it that I really appreciated. At one point he's watching like Entertainment Tonight or one of those shows.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, and number one at the box office this week is Father-in-Law, completing Pauly Shore's rise to the top. And then I was like, wait a minute, that's actually a great idea. They should do that.
Yeah.
Like with him as the father.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be really good.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But I think we're the only ones that still like Pauly Shore anymore, so probably won't happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Pauly Shore's like... I won't go out on a limb here and say I love him or anything, but like his films for a brief period were pretty funny and pretty great. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't really know what's going on with him now. I think he's on TikTok, but like who isn't these days?
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean it sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
It was nice and short.
Yeah. How much or how long was it?
Like 90 minutes, I think. Maybe less.
I feel like every movie should be 90 minutes or less.
Yep.
Because like every movie we watch on this podcast is at least like an hour and 40 minutes, and I'm like, can you not tell your fucking story under like a certain amount of time? Fuckers.
You're like, shut it down.
Yeah, seriously. I don't hate movies, even though I come off like I hate them. But I feel like a lot of movies don't respect time of the audience.
That's true.
But whatever.
As Siskel and Ebert have both said. You're making an investment with your time, so they better bring it with a good movie.
Was that the exact quote? They better bring it? Ebert's like, yo, they better bring it. It's a fucking great movie, motherfucker.
You're like, bring it, bro.
You better fucking bring it, me. Ebert. He's like, this week, they better bring it.
I had a Batista moment there. I'm like,
Movies
weapons are not only encouraged.
They're allowed.
They're allowed.
Oh my god. Last night on Friday Night SmackDown.
Look of panic. What have I done?
Anyway, so this week I don't know if I don't know if I've talked about this show before, but I don't know if I've ever recommended it. Have I recommended Longmire before?
No. I don't think so.
Good, because I'll watch it. It sucks. This is the anti-recommendation. No, watch this show if you're old or you like mysteries. I'm a big fan of Columbo, so I guess I could recommend that. But like, Longmire takes place in, I don't know if it's South Dakota, North Dakota, one of those like, it's someplace like Wyoming or some shit. It's all over the place, you know, as far as, it's one of those states where it's like, you know, I don't know where it fucking takes place, but like, the
Wild Wild
like,
West.
Yeah, he's like an older sheriff. It's kind of like the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing, like from the 1 week Last Stand. But like the kind of twist to it is that he is in a county that he also presides next to a like Native American reservation, and he has to kind of work with the like, because he can't go on the Native American reservation and just start like doing whatever the fuck he wants. He has to work with the like police officers and stuff that are there because they have their own precinct. So like they don't always work together, but it's something where like over time he has to kind of like get out of his like old ways and be like, but like the crimes, it's funny because it's kind of like a town that like is one of those towns where it's like, oh, nothing really ever happens here, but like every week there's like a fucking murder. So it's like, but it is kind of like a thoroughfare for like fishers and hunters, so all kinds of bullshit happens. So it's pretty interesting. They do have like character arcs and progression and stuff, and people show up on the show and leave, but like Henry is like one of the best characters on the show, and he's played by I made this guy a fucking pop figure and gave it to him, and I can't remember what his fucking name is. He was in La Bamba.
Edward James Olmos?
Lou Diamond Phillips.
Ah.
So, yeah, because he plays like a Native American that has his own bar and stuff, and he goes through some kind of like stuff in the show that's vigilante-like and stuff. So, pretty interesting. So, yeah,
cool.
That's my recommendation.
Yeah, I remember when that came out, I thought it looked really cool, but I just never got around to watching it. So
yeah, it's really good, but it does kind of have a tendency to be like, this was kind of made for like an older generation.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's not necessarily bad, though.
Yeah, I know. It's just kind of like, it's definitely, it doesn't have like, it does have younger people in it, but it's not like the younger audience that it's going to pull in. So it kind of, I think as you grow older, you kind of like appreciate it more because you can sit down for more than 5 seconds, and you know there's no dabbing in it, so sadly. So
cool.
Let's move on to the weekly topic, which was something that you recommended, right?
The Crow.
Yes. So before we get started, we have to talk about the kind of like thing that surrounds this movie. It was kind of like a big deal. Well, I mean, it was a big deal for what happened, because like Brandon Lee famously, this was his last movie that he ever did, and not by choice. He got like fucking killed on the set of The Crow, which was like a freak fucking accident, and they don't really know, you know, obviously who they couldn't really ever charge anybody because it was not like something that happened on purpose. It was like it happened during a scene where a bunch of dudes are shooting at Brandon Lee, his character, The Crow, and it's like he dies, and you're like, well, who the fuck shot him? Like, I mean, obviously, even if, I think they found out which gun had shot him, but it's not like that person was charged, because it's not like it was a malicious thing that was done, but they did serve a case for negligence against like the actual people, like the production company, because like there's a bunch of shit that happened as far as like, I mean, I don't. Do you have that up? Because I actually have like what happened and stuff.
Yeah, like they know who had pulled the trigger. Like they were able to figure that out, and it like screwed that guy up. Like it ruined his career and like messed him up personally.
Even though he was like it wasn't his fault at all. It's
right.
Like, I feel like that was kind of like a stupid move, like to be like, guess what? You fucking pulled the trigger, because it's like, fucking I. I didn't want to kill Brandon Lee. This is a fucking film. Yeah.
But yeah, if you were around at the time, that was huge news, especially because
he had just started kind of like coming off.
This is like his breakout movie, basically.
Because he had done like 2 or 3 big martial arts films before this, but then he was like, I don't want to just be like a clone of my dad. So I want to do like something completely different. And this movie was like, holy shit, as well, so...
Yeah, and it's doubly weird because I think he was the same age that his dad died.
Yeah.
Who also, like, in his 20s or early 30s. It's, like, very mysteriously, like, Bruce Lee's death is even weirder than Brandon Lee's because he just, like, he had a headache and then he died. Like,
yeah, he took some, like...
The most in-shape person on the planet. Like,
yeah.
See ya. So, yeah, it's the sad... and it's makes this movie a little bit weird to watch because he gets shot like so many times. There's like scene after scene of him just getting shot, and it's like, dude.
Yeah, that, and like there are a couple scenes when he's in silhouette. It's like after he's dead. It's like a body double. So yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, it's a shame because I think like he's awesome. Yeah, and I think he'd still be having a great career like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
To this day,
yeah,
he'd still be in his prime.
Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee were still alive. Like they would be, like we would have had a shit ton of movies with like all kinds of great stories and characters if they both survived. So it's a shame because I think Bruce Lee was also starting to become like, because he was already big in like other countries, but he was finally getting the recognition of the United States, which back then was hard to do for
his breakout movie, Enter the Dragon. Like it's just very weird.
Yeah.
Almost like hard to believe.
Yeah.
If it wasn't actually true. Sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction.
Ah. Strange. Last night on Strange Fiction Smackdown. So, do you want to know like the events of what happened with the bullet and shit, or do you want to just say fuck that?
That's up to you.
I'm like, let us know. We will wait.
Call in.
Yes, send us a fucking email. We will wait.
Call in and we'll talk about it in next week's show.
I'll just say that pretty much like it was a set of circumstances where like a prop guy went to go get some like rounds that they needed for like the scene, and they used live rounds that they had purchased, and actually one of the guys found that and was like, what the fuck, this should never be on the set, and he like reprimanded that guy and was like, fucking get this shit out of here. Then like later on in the shoot when they needed the rounds, somebody else took those bullets and like made it so that they were blanks, which like is totally fine, but like when there was like I guess like a test fire that had happened, and the lead tip got lodged in the barrel of the gun, and everybody heard like a weird sound, but they didn't know what it was, and like the bullet sat in that specific gun for like weeks, waiting for like what was going to happen, and fucking when they put the blank in and like fired the round, which like the blank had gunpowder in it, but it has like the fake tip or whatever, like it had enough force to like shoot it out and fucking kill him. And it's like, if the guy had just not even hit Brandon Lee, if he had missed, like it would have been no big. I mean, it would have been a big deal because it was a live round, but he would have lived. But it was like the perfect set of circumstances to fucking kill him.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So that's kind of like the abridged version because I have like pages of shit here, but we don't need to get into like the super specific stuff. If you want to see like a really interesting thing on it, like Unsolved Mysteries did like a whole like episode on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, of like, and it's, I guess it's not, I mean, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, but it's like, it sucks because you watch it and you're like, well, because like they also did one on like, I think it was like the Lee family curse where they talk also about like what happened to like Bruce Lee.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like, his wife was on there, I think, like the mother of Bruce Lee, and was like, because this movie is also dedicated to like Brandon Lee and like his like wife, which she ended up, like we were saying, suing and winning like a case for like negligence because they like legit were like, so easy to avoid that, but they were just like, I don't know, not like any one person, but they should have never even converted live rounds. It's like, had them on the set. It's like,
even blanks themselves are dangerous. Like you
Right.
can get killed with a blank if you like shot someone point blank with it.
Point blank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's get on to the actual movie itself. So The Crow came out in 1994, and I would say this movie is like a movie that like Hot Topics were built on.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It's like one of the most goth movies out there.
Like Batman and this, it's like, which Batman came out like at the same time, I think. So like, but like it's a supernatural dark fantasy like based on a comic book directed by Alex Proyas, and obviously it stars Brandon Lee in his final film appearance as Eric Draven, a murdered musician who is resurrected to avenge the deaths of himself and his fiancee. And yeah, this is based on like a graphic novel, like the comics, called The Crow by James O'Barrs. But it's pretty fucked up, yeah, because in this movie he gets killed and comes back, but in real life he dies. It's like, what the fuck? But, so, yeah, he plays Eric Draven. He's brought back to life by a crow a year after him and his fiancée are murdered. The crow guides him through the land of the living and leads to his killers, knife thrower Tintin, drug addict, fun boy, car buff T-Bird, and the unsophisticated Skank. One by one, Eric gives these thugs a taste of their own medicine. However, their leader, Top Dollar, a world-class crime lord who will dispatch his enemies like with a Japanese sword and joke about it later, will soon learn the legend of the Crow and the secret to the vigilante's invincibility. So let's talk about, this film was like a huge success, and of course, like Highlander and Batman and all these other kind of films, like when there's success, they spawn sequels. Mm-hmm. And these had a bunch of sequels that were super shitty.
Have you ever seen any of them?
I have not, but I've just heard that they were all really bad.
Yeah, I've avoided them.
But like
annoyed.
In 96, they came out with Crow, City of Angels, which is probably the most famous or infamous of the sequels because it's only 2 years later, and like this was still fresh. Like Brandon Lee had died, and people were like, "We don't want to fucking see a Crow movie," like, and it was really cheap. It was like,
wasn't Edward Furlong the Crow in that one?
I think so, yeah.
Look at that, a step down from Brandon Lee.
And then in 98, they did The Crow, Stairway to Heaven, which was a Canadian television series created by a couple people that nobody gives a fuck. Mark Dosk, I don't even know this person's name. He was whatever. And the third film, The Crow's Salvation, was released in 2000. And then the fourth film, The Crow Wicked Prayer, was released in 2005.
Wicked.
Yeah. And then apparently there was there was going to be another one film called The Crow 2037. It's a planned sequel, written and scheduled to be directed by, who do you think? He's making a movie right now, and it's based on an old show that we both love.
Oh, Rob Zombie.
Yeah. He was going to make The Crow 2037 in the late 1990s. However, it was never made. So, yeah.
I could see that.
McWorld.
It could happen.
It was, Crow was a phenomenon. It's still like a great film.
Yeah. I love this movie. I hadn't seen it in a long time.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure if you'd... I don't think we ever talked about it before, so that's why I wanted to watch it again.
Yeah,
and
I'd
talk
seen
about
it a long time ago, and I didn't remember really anything about it. So when I watched it, it was pretty much new to me.
Cool.
So
you liked it this time around?
yeah, I mean, I don't really remember much about watching it the first time. I just know that I had. I just didn't really, But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a more... I don't think there is a more Hot Topic movie out there than The Crow.
This essentially is what the Hardy Boys, pretty much the wrestlers are their personas were based on, because they have he wears that skin tight shit with the arm bands and all that crap, and it's okay.
The leather outfit, the white makeup.
And obviously Sting, the wrestler, based his shit on that.
But the soundtrack is super 90s too, because it's grunge and hard rock and heavy metal. It's all stuff that I really like. So I was never a goth person, but this movie was very appealing to me.
He didn't dress like a goth, but he was ready for the goth.
I had the heart of the goth.
So we start off and it's October 30th, and Devil's Night is burning. The city is burning, but not Jim Rome. So
Jim Rome is burning.
He's
call 911.
So at the beginning of this movie,
I bet you don't call me that again,
Chris. I bet you I do, Chris. You've been saying that behind my back all this time.
Yeah.
Now I just
say it
said
again.
it to your face. So anyway, there's a monologue in the beginning of this film as this crow flies over the city with some interesting fire effects. Also, this city is no city you've ever seen before, which is, I appreciate that. Regardless of how cheap or uncheap a city looks, I would rather it be not just, hey, we're filming in New York or Chicago, unless it's Turtles or something like that, or Spider-Man, where that's their real life home or something.
Yeah, it's all models, and pretty much every aspect of this movie is the dingiest, desolate, destroyed, crumbling.
It's RoboCop, where it's for some reason shit has become this bad.
And all the characters are disgusting and freaks and dirty.
Kind of reminds me of Spawn with all the gross shit. It's but the girl that's kind of one of the central characters in this narrates this beginning part where she says, "People once believed that when someone dies, a crow carries their soul to the land of the dead. But sometimes something so bad happens that a terrible sadness is carried with it, and the soul can't rest. Then sometimes, just sometimes, the crow can bring that soul back to put the wrong things right." It's
and if you like close-ups of crows, you'll love this movie because they cut to it a million times. It's a bit much, but it's cool looking.
Bit freaking much, me. So I have a top 10 for Brandon Lee, which is actually his only 10 credits he's ever had.
I didn't realize he had that many.
Yeah. So, beginning in 85, he was in Crime Killer as a gangster, uncredited. Then 86, Kung Fu the Movie as Chung Wang. Legacy of Rage in 86 as Brandon Ma. Then CBS Summer Playhouse, a TV series in 87, Johnny Kane. Then he was in a TV show with Pat Morita called O'Hara in 1988. He played Kenji in one episode.
Sounds cool.
Then Laser Mission, 1989, as Michael Gold. Then he got big. This was kind of his first big, I think, thing was Showdown in Little Tokyo.
Dude, and that movie is awesome. It's a buddy cop movie with him and Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, 91 is Johnny Morita, is that?
I don't know.
And then 92, Rapid Fire as Jake Lowe. And then 94, this movie, The Crow, is Eric Draven. And then randomly, he's in a video in 2000, Sex, Lies, and Video Violence, Man in Line to Nightclub. I think that they use, obviously, footage of him to like,
Either that or a crow brought him back.
He's just been in hiding. So, Ernie Hudson smokes 1 second of a cigarette and throws it away.
Always, dude. I forgot how he's pretty much like the second lead in this movie. Like,
yeah,
and which is great to see because like he's one of our favorite actors.
It's him. It's Brandon Lee, and it's like the little girl.
Yeah.
Those are like the 3 main characters because the like fiance gets killed, and she never is like seen again except for like the very end of this movie. Like you see flashbacks of her, but like I give this movie so much credit for getting the backstory out of the way without.
Oh yeah,
it's so
definitely
nice because it just literally starts at the scene of the crime with Ernie Hudson and like a bunch of police officers like going over the fucking crime that's happened. It's pretty fucking out of control because like she gets like raped and beaten pretty much to death, and like he comes in and tries to stop it, and they like shoot him a bunch and then like throw him out a fucking window. So it's like, holy fuck. But
yeah,
our third lead, I don't really know. I forget what her name was. I think I write it down later on. But Scrappy Girl rolls up on a skateboard.
Sarah.
She's like, goes from being like the tomboy to like a goth in like 1 year. Because the next year is like she's wearing like she rolled out of a fucking Hot Topic before Hot Topics were a thing. I'm pretty sure, but
what'd you think of Ernie Hudson's mustache? Because at the beginning of the movie, like he has a really long fake mustache, and it was really obvious. And I guess they did that to show like he's aged, which is like so unnecessary. Like you could look basically the same as you did a year ago. Like you don't have to put a super fake mustache.
I've had this mustache
over his regular
for
mustache.
Years. Like I generally don't like. I'll maybe shave this stuff up or change, but I usually almost always have like a mustache of some sort.
You should have when you met Tim Heidecker.
Ever since then, if I have facial hair, it's when we went to that comedy club and fucking Tim Heidecker was like, "You,"
he roasted the hell out of you.
Because back then I didn't have a mustache. I just had like the fucking Amish shit going on. Because I was like, who wants to see a mustache? That's fucking gross. And then it was like, I was corrected. I think it's...
Did you seriously grow a mustache because of that?
Yes!
Really?
Yes, because it was fucking traumatic. Because I was like... well, it wasn't really mainly because of that, but the more I thought about it, I was like, nothing against Amish people, but I really don't want to just have a chin strap. And... like, the more I thought about it, I was like, actually, having a mustache itself is kind of gross, but it's not as stupid looking as just a chin strap. And if I do, like, both, it's whatever. But, yeah, he was just like, go get a fucking mustache, motherfucker.
He was like, hey, they're selling mustaches back there. Why don't you go pick one up?
Yeah, and I was like, fuck. I bet it was...
Which, that's not even a criticism. Like, I can't believe...
Yeah, it was.
Why?
Because
who cares?
I didn't have one.
So what? Like, they're both legit facial hairstyles.
I don't think the chin strap is, honestly. I think it looks...
I'm not personally a fan of it, but, I mean, that's all someone's opinion.
That's true, but, I mean, I just think that it just... I think I've moved on from it. It doesn't look right. It looks stupid without something to accompany it, or just like you, like, have nothing. Because, like, if I were to, like, get rid of like my mustache, it would literally just be like, I don't know. I don't think it looks right.
I still think the worst is Jim Rome, where you have the mustache and the goatee, but you shave like the stuff in the middle. And it's like, what?
What is it?
It's like he has a mustache and then like the straps and like the goatee, but like nothing in this area. So it's like just the lines like that.
Oh yeah, so it's not like the Stone Cold.
Right.
So his shit was just super thin. Yeah, I don't know. I've never... Yeah, to me, like, the only person that can pull off, like, a super thin mustache is, like, John Waters.
Yeah.
That's, like, his thing. So anybody else just looks like a creep. And John Waters is good because that's his thing. Being, like, kind of creepy and stuff. But, like, you know he's a nice guy. If I see some random person on the street with a thin mustache, I'm like, that guy probably rapes. So, anyway. What were we talking about again?
I brought up Ernie Hudson's fake mustache.
Mustaches. I don't know. I mean, I didn't really realize it all that much, but it was mainly because I think I'm just so used to seeing him with a mustache.
Yeah, I mean, it looks fine throughout the whole rest of the movie. It looks normal, but in the opening scene, it's like... What? And then...
you were persecuting facial hair like Tim Heidecker.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you for ruining my class.
But there's a good hot dog discussion in this movie.
Oh, yeah, I actually have a thing about that. So
that made me want to ask.
This was a year later. Yeah, so go ahead.
What's your preference when it comes to hot dog condiments? Because that's a hotly debated topic.
So before we get into this, we went to Chicago recently, and we went to a couple different hot dog places. And the first one we went to, I think, was my favorite, Super Dogs.
Super Dogs, yeah.
And but there they they have a hot dog that has fucking legit everything on it, and you got it with
it's out of control.
And I got it with nothing because they had literally my worst offenders on a hot dog. But the one thing they say doesn't belong on a Chicago dog is ketchup, and that's the first thing you see being put on a hot dog in this movie. To me, hot dogs can go with anything. It's like hamburgers. It's it's really a preference thing, and it's really what you like. Because I personally don't like anything that was on that hot dog you got, like onions, peppers. I like them in things, but there was a huge fucking jalapeno in your fucking thing, and there was
a pickle.
There was Fallout relish on it, and it was glowing green. But there was onions, all kinds of shit, and to me, I'll maybe put ketchup on it or dip it in there, but if a hot dog or a hamburger is really good, I might not put anything except for cheese on a hamburger, a cheeseburger. But some people like to put a shit ton of extra stuff on it. So in this movie was kind of interesting because Ernie Hudson was kind of you need to put the mustard under the dog, and I had never heard of that before. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And then he asked
for
idea. Onions, and the girl says, "No onions, they make you fart big time." And I was like, well, yeah. But I personally don't like onions on my hot dogs, so I agree with no onions. But that not because they make me have gas. It was just, I don't know. I've always been when we go to get Skyline, I usually do no mustard or onions, because mustard is my number one no go for anything. I hate it. But I know that a lot of people love mustard, you like mustard, and I don't know. How do you feel about relish? Was that something you were kind of into, or is it
that's good. I'll take it or leave it.
Yeah,
I pretty much will like anything on hot dogs, but I kind of just ketchup and mustard is my go-to usually.
Yeah, I think
there's some people who are you can never put ketchup on a hot dog. That's a sin.
First off, I can never ketchup you. You look like a fucking dodgy dog, yo. Fuck you. Yeah, to me, somebody that specifically is you can't do this with a hot dog or a hamburger. It feels like they're projecting their insecurities.
Yeah.
Because it's you must like what I like. And it's everybody has opinions, and we'll shit on things and say this sucks or that sucks or this is great when you might not like it. But at the same time, it's like you said, with facial hair, it's preference.
Yeah.
So,
all right, that's been hot dog.
I think we're both pretty easygoing with that kind of shit. We would never go someplace and then you'd be like, why the fuck are you putting that on there?
Slap a hot dog out of someone's.
To me, I'm damn, dude. You're you stupid fuck. I'm eh. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, as long as the hot dog's good. I mean, usually I put condiments on a hot dog that sucks, not on a hot dog that's good. If the Super Dog was made out of legit fucking food, if it's a fucking Oscar Mayer, I'm probably going to put a shit ton of stuff on it because it is just not going to blow me away. You know what I mean? I don't know. Nathan's hot dogs are really good. Do you have a certain kind you really like as far as just regular hot dogs?
No, I don't really have a go-to.
Yeah. Stay away from John Morrell. Those things are fucking gross.
No, just in general.
Yeah. Can I get a measurement over here? Go longer.
Dude, I banned John Morrell. I used to get their bacon.
Like, you banned him off Twitter?
Yeah.
You were like,
I banished
block, motherfucker. And he's like, I love football.
The bacon, like, the strips are all congealed together. You can't even, like, pull them apart. And I'm like, I'm done with John Morrell, dude.
Their hot dogs
dead to me.
are, like, filled with, like, random chunks of...
Well, that's every hot dog.
Well, not, like, good ones. The Nathan ones, you when you bite into them, they don't bounce back like fucking John Morrell.
Bite back?
Yeah. To me, it's like, fuck off. Nobody wants John Morrell. But anyway, that's the hot dog discussion.
Yep.
If you have if anybody has any hot dog related stories or preferences, leave them in the comments.
Please do.
Yeah, we'd love to hear what you put on your hot dog. So Coffin, it busts up, and out comes Eric Draven, and he's fucking like zombified. He's like, oh, and then like his shirt like disintegrates, and he's acting his ass off. And throughout the rest of the film, he's like so good. So
yeah, I think he's great. I just wish he could have been in more movies, basically, because he's awesome in this. Yeah, but if nothing else, like at least he was able to make like one true masterpiece.
Yeah, this is like his swan song.
Yeah, and Roger Ebert, to bring he really liked this movie. He gave it 3.5 stars, and he said like, this is better than anything Bruce Lee ever did, which I would probably pump the brakes on that, but that's pretty high praise.
Yeah, I think I think they both had like great acting. It was just that like Bruce Lee didn't get the chance to like break out and do something like this, whereas like I think it was like just before he died, Brandon was able to like do this. And I think like Bruce Lee could have done so much more. I mean, they both could have, as far as like, but like he could have done more than just action films.
Yeah. Like, totally. I think both of them would be like Oscar winners at some point, because like Bruce Lee is probably the most charismatic person that's ever been like filmed. Yeah. And Brandon Lee's kind of the same way. Like, it's fun to watch. Fun to watch him do stuff.
Yeah. But it's kind of surprising he actually liked the film.
Yeah, it was pretty high praise from old Roger.
Old Roger. Roger. Yeah, so there's horrific scenes of rape and murder, speaking of Ebert. Yeah. Yeah, it was fucking... Yeah. I mean, they didn't show any actual, like, rape, but it was, like, implied. And it's like, this kind of stuff is, like, gets to me. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, it's pretty...
It wasn't, like,
intense.
shown, though. It was just kind of, like, flashbacks of, like, the fucking thugs standing over, like, the camera. It was, like, a first person, and they're, like, doing their, shit talking, like, we're about to rape you. I mean, they didn't say that, but, like, And
all the villains in this movie are, like, so evil and despicable. Yeah. Like,
Except for, like, the fourth member who gets killed last, and he's, like this guy should have been killed first.
Which one was he?
The guy that, like, was there with, like, the Big Top or whatever, Big Time, or whatever the fuck his name is. He's, like...
Oh, yeah.
That guy was kind of, like...
He was just more pathetic.
Yeah, he should have just been killed first, I felt like.
Yeah.
But
I've said it before on the show, like, I love movies where guys just get really mad, and that's what this whole movie is, just him being like super mad, and it's so satisfying to see him get sweet revenge.
It's weird though, because in this movie too, there's like total scenes where he's not.
Yeah, like the scene where he's at Ernie Hudson's house.
Yeah, or he's talking to like the girl, or like.
Yeah, that's cool because he's not just like a vicious killer the whole time.
He's not like straight up the Punisher, or like no depth. Well, I mean, not that the character doesn't, but it's like usually you'll just be seeing like pure rage, and I'm like, someone can't be like pure rage 100% of the time. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But we have a scene of dudes swallowing bullets, and I was like, whatever. We could fucking do that.
I would never do that.
I wasn't really impressed, honestly, by it. It was cool.
Really?
Yeah, because...
Why not? What?
What do you mean? Like...
That was like horrifying to me to even think about swallowing a bullet.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, it is to me.
They're not going to go off in your stomach.
I know, but still.
It'd just be like... it's whether or not you can swallow a piece of metal.
what if I ate super fiery habanero chili and it set off the explosion?
It wouldn't matter. That's not how it works. If you swallow the bullet and then like a week later you swallow a gun and then you swallow like a finger and it's like it was like a cool scene, but at the same time I was like, we could fucking do that.
All right, next week on the show, Mike's going to be swallowing bullets because it's apparently no big deal.
I could swallow a bullet right now.
I'm like, okay, boom.
Not a bullet you shot at me. They weren't fucking swallowing bullets out of guns.
What do you think of the henchmen's like greeting to each other?
What were they doing again?
Fire it up! Fire it up! I think we should do that before like every episode, or like as the intro. We're just like, fire it up! Fire it up! That gets me fired up.
I think that was probably like, if I'm gonna go like no holds barred, I'd say, what's that smell? But if I was like being honest, it was pretty annoying, honestly. But it went in line with like their characters, because their characters were like annoying as fuck.
Yeah.
But they were over the top, like, hey, these are fucking over the top characters.
And they're super drunk and like on drugs throughout the whole movie.
24/7,
like,
yeah,
like every despicable aspect of a human being, like are these.
They're
these henchmen.
despicable.
They are. They disgust me. They shock me.
So there's a part where like the Brandon Lee as the Crow goes after his first victim.
Yes.
Like the first henchman guy, the only black member, Tim or Tintin, or I
can't remember.
I don't know which one it was. Because like at some points I thought they said Tintin, at some points I thought they said Tim.
Yeah.
But like he's a guy that like his whole thing is he throws knives and shit, and uses knives.
He's the blades man.
Yeah. But as he's stalking this guy, he like flips and does like a swan dive. On
Free fall off a building. It's awesome.
He hits the ground and it like bounces.
Yeah, you can see like a frame where like he hits a mattress or something.
It was like cracking up. I was like, what?
But I love that because it's a cool stunt, but it's also like a cool part of the character is like he has no regard for his body, so like he'll just like, you know, do things where he's horribly hurt.
I was like, whatever, I could do that. You're like, wait a minute.
He'll get super hurt just like as a goof.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really cool.
Which weirdly enough, that didn't do shit to him, but like anything else, he like had to heal from it. Mm-hmm. So I was like, what? So he's like, he like kills the fuck out of this guy that raped her pink ass.
Well, not only that, he said shagged. Did you notice that? I was like, shagadelic, baby, yeah.
I was like, gross. Yeah, he was like,
shagged her rotten, baby, yeah.
Her pink ass. And I was like, what? It's like, her ass wasn't pink. The city looks freaking like really stylistic, which we already talked about that. Thumbs up to that.
Yeah, it's awesome. And if you like that, this director's next movie is Dark City, which is like even more extreme.
You'll love this.
Yeah, you're gonna love this.
Wait till they get a load of me. So like Bruce Lee breaks into the fucking pawn shop. Brandon Lee, the Crow, breaks into the pawn shop and the guy shoots him and he like heals. And then, like, the guy's like, shit on me, shit on me, shit on me. And I was like, what?
I knew you were going to like that part. I just pictured you cracking up.
And then he's like, Mr. Gideon, you aren't paying attention. And then he, like, tells him, like, hey, I'm looking for a ring. And he's like, take the rings, choke on him, you son of a bitch. And I was just like, nice. And then the Crow, Brandon Lee, loads up a shotgun full of rings after he's put gas everywhere. And he was going to let the guy go. And the guy's like, talking shit to him and saying he's gonna die and all this stuff. And he shoots it into the pawn shop, and it blows it the fuck up because of all the gas. And I was like,
at that point, I'm like cheering. I'm like, dude, this could not be cooler.
Yeah, it was really cool. Made like 0 cents, but it didn't have to.
Shot a bunch of rings out of a shotgun.
Yeah, I was like,
it's like, what is this, Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yeah, people loot, and the crow disappears from Ernie Hudson's sight and might. That was pretty out of control. Because he was like, wait a minute, are you Eric Draven? Like, what the fuck? You know, and then, like, when he looks away, he's, like, gone. This henchman guy, like, the dude that's, like, runs the pawn shop, like, lives. He, like, gets away out the back. Then we meet, like, our fucking bad guy. They're, like, burning / cooking an eyeball. The main bad guy is very Thomas Ian Griffith mixed with David Carradine and Lance Henderson.
Yeah, Michael Wincott as top dollar.
Never seen this fucker in my life. But
he's in a ton of stuff, but like, yeah, he has one of the most distinct voices.
I'd never
smoke a million cigarettes.
Yeah, I'd never heard of this guy before, so I was like, okay. I thought he at first was Thomas Ian Griffith, but it wasn't him.
Yeah.
So I didn't give a fuck. But this leads to my actual top 10 list, because the other one I didn't want to like make a light of it because it was about someone that died. So this is the top 10 villains with long hair.
Oh, I like it.
These aren't in really any order because it took me probably 30 minutes to actually find 10
really?
People that had long hair that were villains. Because a lot of them don't like have long hair at all. So these aren't really in any order. But we'll start off at number 10. Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons, played by the great Kelsey Grammer. Probably one of my favorite actors and like voice actors of all time because it's like so good.
Speaking of the Expendables.
Yes. Rita Repulsa from the Power Rangers.
Okay.
Dude, this is...
That was a stretch, but all right.
Well, what do you mean it's a stretch? You haven't seen stretching yet.
Uh-oh.
Stretch your fucking neck out. Whiplash from Iron Man 2. Yeah. Captain Hook from Peter Pan.
That's the one that came to my mind.
Terry Silver and
oh yeah,
what's his name from
I can't believe he's not number one.
Karate Kid. Well, these are like I said in no order because from Karate Kid 3 and then I didn't really want to take up multiple spots because I found more people. But what's his face from Vampires? Another Thomas Ian Griffith. Gul Dukat from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. The only reason I say some of these is because like once the people's hair is like not pulled up, it's like long.
That's right.
Lucius Malfoy from Harry Potter, Saruman from Lord of the Rings, and Darth Vader, aka Anakin Skywalker, for like the brief moment when he was evil but still Anakin Skywalker.
Still had a little mullet.
So that's 9. Let's do some honorable video game mentions. Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII, Ganondorf from The Legend of Zelda, someone else that has their hair up but it's long, Zeus from the God of War franchise, and Bowser from Super Mario Bros. So who do you think is the number one villain with long hair?
I don't know. Captain Hook was the one that came to my mind first.
That's a good one. I mean, a lot of people would think that, but...
Is this going to be a joke?
Oh, it always is. So number 1, Alex Kurtzman, the man responsible for ruining Star Trek.
Nice.
Let's talk about this son of a bitch. So this man has been involved in The Mummy, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Star Trek Into Darkness, Cowboys and Aliens, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, and like pretty much any of the new Star Trek stuff. Star Trek Picard, Star Trek Discovery. So,
does he have long hair?
I found one picture where he has long hair. I knew you were going to ask that, so like yeah, I found like some really old photos where he had long hair.
It's like I've seen interviews with that dweeb and like he doesn't have.
Yeah,
long hair.
recently, like
All
in the last couple
I'll take your
years,
word for
he has
it.
short hair, but yeah, like long hair is like he. It was like a long time ago. I think it was back when he was involved with doing like Transformers and shit like that. But
Yeah, I'm hating Star Trek Discovery because like everyone talks like they're in 2021, and like in season 3,
yeah,
they travel like 900 years in the future,
yeah,
and still everyone talks like it's 2021. It's
yeah.
like, I hate the dialogue in that show. I hate many of the characters. I hate the way they talk. It's
That's
awful.
Yeah, that's how Picard is. It's like
Yeah.
people just.
I hate it so
It's
much.
like Star Trek has become what it is, what it is in now.
Mhm.
So like instead of being like here's a bright future or here's like an alternate timeline, like even if it was like the dark mirror universe they have in a lot of Star Trek, like in every series of Star Trek, there's like a dark universe where like people are evil or like something like that. But instead of that, it's like people just they say fuck, they don't talk like it's like this isn't your dad's Star Trek.
Mhm.
It's like okay, well this sucks. Anyway, went off the rails there on the Star Trek tangent, but if you're a fan of Star Trek, you won't be for long.
Don't watch Discovery season 3.
Don't watch anything recently. It's
Or
like
Picard.
Star Trek related.
So I knew I really liked this movie, but I totally forgot that Tony Todd's in this.
Yeah, that's
so
my
when he
next
showed
note.
up, I was like
Yeah.
fist pumping, like yes, as if this movie's not cool enough. Tony
Yeah,
Todd
he
in like a
looks-
suit and a top hat, or like what's that hat called that he has? Like a bowler hat?
I don't really remember because he mainly he puts it on that one dude a lot.
Yeah.
Or not a lot. He's like, but like he's got that like glasses and like his gun is really cool looking.
Yeah, he
It's
looks
like,
awesome.
It's a bullshit like gun they made just for the movie, but it was cool. But yeah, his character is awesome.
What's his name? Top Dollar, or is that the?
I think that's the
main
main
villain.
bad guys. I don't really remember. Let me look it up real quick because
I've got it here.
you do. Okay, cool. You're like bottom dollar.
Grange. Okay.
I don't think
He
ever
must not.
say that
I
in the
don't think they
film,
did.
Which is maybe best. I don't know if that
Grange.
range. But yeah, Fun Boy. What a fucking name. Yeah, that was
And I think he's the one who actually killed Brandon Lee, technically.
Fun Boy.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
sucks.
that kind of, I think he retired from acting after that. Like,
Jesus.
yeah. it's
Apparently,
pretty
like the
sad.
girl, I read that like because I looked into a lot of people's like IMDb's and like there was also a thing like I had read that about him, but I also read that like this was the last movie that like that one like the young girl did before she like retired from acting until recently.
Yeah.
Because the last thing that they did on the film was they did a silhouette shoot where she had to hug somebody dressed like Brandon Lee, and she was so like traumatized.
Oh,
that, like,
God.
she was like
Yeah.
fucking done. And I was like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Speaking
of the villains, though, the main villain, Top Dollar, I loved his introduction because basically it's him and like his girlfriend slash sister
Yeah, it's his sister
are having a threesome
with like some chick that they like,
that was so extreme that she died, like she
Yeah.
didn't survive. I was like, dude,
and then they like cut her eyeballs out or something.
it's like pretty intense stuff,
Um,
but funny.
I think this is funny because we bring this up a lot with different people. I think you've even asked me like, do you think this person would be like a good this person? You know what I'm gonna say or no? So I have a note that says like Brandon Lee would have made like probably like besides Jack Nicholson like the best Joker. It's like he's so. It's weird because in this film he's like Joker / Batman. He's like if the Joker was Batman, like a good guy, but like when at you know what I mean, like because he fucks with people and he jokes and he's like he gets pleasure from. Well, not pleasure. I mean, he's like, oh, but like, it's just more like lighthearted when he kills the people. Whereas like Batman just beats the dudes up and shit.
Yeah, I think like the sky's the limit for what he could have done.
The sky
Yeah.
is the limit. Yeah, Ernie Hudson is in his underwear and a t-shirt, and he's wearing just his police cap. I was like, is this motherfucker...
Even the Crow jokes about that. He's like,
Yeah.
you got your cap on.
I was like, was this guy going to go stripping? Like, what the fuck is going on here? That was so weird. I was like, huh?
I think that's my favorite scene in the movie because it's just like two dudes like relating.
Yeah, fucking.
And like the Crow is treated like a
person.
Right.
Yeah, it's because this person actually like knows like who he was before he came back and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like nice to see like not I don't know, like a superhero or like a vigilante being like chased down the whole time.
Yeah.
Like he was actually able to like have a conversation.
And he gets Ernie Hudson a beer. A silver bullet. And he's like, Ernie Hudson's like, are you going to leave out the window? And he's like, I'm going to go right out the front door.
Yeah. I was like, he's like, where's the fucking front door?
I love that scene.
Yeah, it was pretty legit. But apparently Hangman's joke was the Crow's band.
Oh.
Eric Draven, because there's a part where like the girl has, I guess they got big enough that they were still underground, but big enough that they had their own fucking album printed into record, which was not a small thing back then. Like, because she pulls out the album and puts it on the fucking like thing, but like like she listens to it and goes to sleep, and that's when her like mom comes back the next day and takes care of her, because like the Crow was like, go take care of your fucking daughter, she's fucking on the streets waiting for your ass.
And he like pumps the heroin out of her veins.
Yeah, he like holds her and it like comes out.
Yeah.
Which was like an interesting power
to
have. So the Crow holds up one of the killers and tells him to drive. The killer's friend that was inside the convenience store comes out and gets to a car jacked that almost ran him over. I thought I had like a better note than that. That was just
pretty much
describing a scene that happened.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, that's why. Okay, this was a continuing note. So like the police are like about to drink their coffee and cream, and this, one of the guys is like, this can't legally even be called cream. And they take off really quick, and the passenger, like, the one guy's like, oh shit, who's that? And he, like, the driver drives off, and the passenger spills his coffee all over him, and he's like, ah! I was like, Jesus! Yeah, then this dude, T-Bone, or what the fuck his name is, T-Bird, gets fucking strapped with, like, 50 billion pounds of dynamite in his car, and fucking, like, he's, like, taped to the fucking shit, and they, like, he, like, makes it so that his fucking foot is pushed down on the thing, and he, like...
He's tied to the wheel.
It's the most, like, extravagant way to kill someone.
I know, but it's so, like, I can't picture anything more awesome. Like, he's gonna die either way.
Yeah,
like, once he drives into the drink.
Yeah.
But to have it explode in midair, it's like...
Before it hits the water, it's like, legit, the car exploded in air. I was like, what the fuck is this?
I love that kind of stuff. It looks like he couldn't fire it up anymore. Or he was fired up? Anyway, sorry.
I was like, So Ernie Hudson gets yelled at for no fucking reason again. Third hit in your hood this week. I'm like, how the fuck is this Ernie Hudson's fault? He's not going out and killing these people. It's
and
like,
why was he like demoted? He
was, yeah, like, there was a whole thing, because he used to be, I guess, like a detective, but he was demoted in this film, and like he kind of like, there's stuff like that he looked into, like
he looked into something he shouldn't have,
that like they didn't want him to look into, but it's like, wouldn't they have given him a commendation for like going above and beyond? It's kind of like presumed that like the cops are on the take in this film, but it's not really shown, because like, why would he, like, his supervisor is like, eventually is like, you're fucking suspended. So it's like, at some point the cops are just like useless in this film.
Yeah.
And fucking they're shredding, Eric Draven, the Crow, is shredding on the rooftop, and he breaks his amp.
What did you think about that? Like, there's so many like cool things in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, you have swords and guns and like goth stuff, and like
guitar playing and stuff.
He's just wailing an electric guitar solo on the rooftop.
Yeah, he's like shredding on the rooftop, and he breaks the amp, and he's like, "Here's a song," and he like breaks his guitar, and he's like, "Fucking hell!" But yeah, that
they
was
just went all
out of
in on the
control.
the coolness factor. This like,
Yeah. There's a part where he says, like, gentleman, and it's very, like, Jack Nicholson Joker style. He's like, gentleman! And I'm like, So, we're at the scene, like, the infamous scene where Lee gets fucking killed. They're all fucking shooting at him and stuff like that.
it's
and
pretty
like,
disturbing when you watch it, because it's like, dude...
yeah, he's getting killed. In one
Just
of these.
getting
I don't think
riddled
that
with
they
bullets.
use the actual scene,
No.
but, like...
But still seeing him just
yeah.
doing the dance of death.
Yeah. But after he kills everyone in the boardroom, it plays, like, a Metroid music, and I was like, what?
Well, dude, during that's like the John Woo scene where it's like all slow motion and like all these bullets are like hitting everywhere and like Nine Inch Nails is playing. I'm like, this is the most 90s thing I could ever imagine.
Yeah, it was pretty
But
out of control.
that's where he says my favorite line in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
where he's like, "You're all going to die."
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, awesome. I
Also,
love this.
He has like horse teeth in this film,
Yeah,
but I think it's mainly because
it stands out from the
it's
white makeup.
Yeah, that's
And the
not
bl-
because
the
his
black-
teeth are
the black
bigger.
lips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like they have this weird incest thing going on in this film, where like
Yeah.
they're like I think they're like step siblings because like the one guy is like, you guys are fucking brother and sister, and it's because like one of them is like the main bad guy is like white, I think, or some maybe I don't know what his race is, but he looks white, and like the sister is like of Asian descent,
Mm-hmm.
so he's like making fun of it.
Biling.
Yeah, and then like they're kissing a lot in this film, and they fuck with people. So I'm assuming they have sex. So it's like Jesus. But yeah, I thought that was fucked up. I think it just adds to the fucked upness of the main bad guy. But he doesn't get like a lot of like. I don't know. I feel like to me, like this is one of the more weak bad guys in my opinion out of all the movies we've seen, because even though he's pretty extreme, not like weak in that case, but like he doesn't have enough like. I don't know. To me, like scene building stuff.
He's not in it that much,
Yeah.
and plus his henchmen are so like vile.
Yeah.
Like
They're vile.
they shock me. But I like him just because I like that actor, Michael Wincott. I think he's just a cool dude.
I mean, I'd never heard of him, so that's why I can't really put any stock into him. Like I said, like I think if maybe I'd heard of him or seen him in anything, like
Yeah.
it's probably like Martin Cove. A lot of people are like, who watch this? But like, since we're like huge fans of Karate Kid and Cobra Kai, we're like Martin Cove for life, motherfucker. And he's been in a bunch of other stuff too. But yeah, like I don't really know too much about that guy. It's just kind of a shame that I think that like to me like he's not as. I think my standard for like an out of control cartoonish bad guy is always going to be fucking John Kreese and fucking Terry Silver.
Yeah.
Like they're just bad for no reason. But you do find out like in Cobra Kai that there are reasons for why he's so fucked up, and maybe they'll do that with Terry Silver. But like in general, like back then you don't really need to know that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you don't need to know it. You were supposed to stay behind. Yeah, that was funny. So this line was funny as fuck. Brandon Lee, or the Crow, says to Ernie Hudson, "You were supposed to stay behind me." Ernie Hudson's like, "I think I messed up." And it was like, is that a fucking line in the movie? Or he's just like,
An outtake.
"I think I messed up." Like somebody says that when they like shit their pants.
Is that when? So the finale of this movie is like the exact same as Batman.
Yeah,
It's
like
like
go up a fucking
wait a
tower.
minute, in an old Gothic church.
Yeah. The lady gets her fucking eyes pecked out by like that crow and then like falls to her death. Because the whole thing about this is they find out that like the weakness for the crow is the crow.
Mm-hmm.
There's a crow that always follows him around. It's kind of like his second eyes and stuff. And like, if you can kill the crow, like he becomes mortal again, and like isn't pretty much invincible and can't heal and stuff. And they kind of like wing it, like, and yeah, he becomes mortal and like, but they have like a Highlander fight up on the fucking like roof of this gothic church while it's like raining the most I've ever seen a movie rain.
That's good stuff.
It was out of control, but like the Crow gives the bad guy 3 hours of pain all at once just for him. But it was like the 3 hours of pain that he got earlier in the movie when he like Vulcan mind melded with Ernie Hudson, seeing like his girlfriend or his fiance's like pretty much like rape, murder, and like her like trying to survive in the hospital, and then he like gives it over to the bad guy as he's falling to his death, and like he falls onto a fucking like
a spire
yeah,
in the church.
Spire, yeah, and then somehow it like goes out of a fucking like water spout, and like a gargoyle's like spewing his blood everywhere. It was a pretty
That's
legit
so
way to
amazing.
death to die for a bad guy.
Yeah, he gets impaled like multiple times, including like through his mouth, I think.
Yeah. His head, it's like all through his mouth. It's like through his body. It's like.
And like the entire gutter is just like drenched with blood. A river of. Like, I think you got him.
Yeah. I was like, "Urgh." And then like the very end after the credits, and we can go back and talk about other stuff, but at the very end of the credits, yeah, it says for Brandon and Eliza. So Brandon Lee and his, which actually this movie was first going to be put out by another company, and then Miramax like. There, I think, like, after everything that happened, they were like, we don't want to have any part of this because Brandon Lee died making this movie. And then Miramax was like, I mean, this is some legit shit. This would be kind of like a disservice to Brandon Lee's honor to not put this fucking film out. So they, like, bought the rights and all the footage for the film and put out The Crow. So at first it was supposed to be, like, I think, like, Universal Studios or something like that. But then once the shit happened, they were like, we don't want to be associated with this, and then that shit happened. So
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty interesting. But
Yeah, I didn't know
good
that.
on Miramax for doing that because you know.
I mean, this is the kind of movie that it's like a studio movie, but it's also like kind of an art movie almost.
It's the studio movie in like the best possible
Right,
way.
right.
Yeah. Before it became like now where it's like you have like, you know, the Suicide Squad original movie, and then you have like the fucking like botched Justice League, and then that's why they have like the Snyder Cut, because originally it was supposed to be something completely different, and it's like you know, the same thing happened with what's his face, the dude from that made Superman, like Richard Donner.
Yeah.
Like they completely fucked him, and like it happens all the time. It's like,
Yeah.
but yeah, like you were saying, I agree. It feels very indie, but it's very like we have the money.
Right. It's not a huge budget, but
Right.
it's like
It's, it makes you feel like it's a
Yeah.
big one.
there's one shot that I really like that they keep flashing back to where it's like the good times.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like spinning around in this field, and the sky is like all red. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, that's one of the coolest things I've ever
Yeah.
seen in a movie. Like, just stuff like that, I really appreciate.
I'm like, I have been horrified by the red sky.
My final thought is, it can't rain all the time.
Oh yeah, I can't believe we didn't talk about that.
I love that
That
song.
was a line also in the movie.
And it's the song that kind of the score is like based on a little bit. And
Yes.
it plays over the end credits, and it's just a cool
And it's like
song.
something that is said earlier in the film by like pretty much like the person that delivers all the overarching monologues is fucking the girl, and then like, which works pretty well. I mean, that could have gone pretty bad, but she's pretty competent.
Yeah,
so
it's fine.
I wasn't like, this is fucking bullshit. I think it also
Right.
worked that it was like a girl, because to me, like, I can kind of give like a little bit of more credit to like characters like that. I think that's why like Miyazaki films, all of them star like little girls because they're more like mature to a degree. Whereas like if it was like a little boy, I would have been like, this is the most annoying shit ever, because it would, I don't know.
Yeah, and I was
get fucking like Jake Lloyd in here.
I thought it was well handled, but they probably didn't even need it. Like
They didn't need it, but there's a lot of stuff in this film they probably could have cut out. That
yeah, but I appreciate the fact that this movie starts and it's like a crow brought him back to life, and you're like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to have a whole mythology and all kinds of mumbo jumbo. It's just like you go with it.
Yeah, but I'm glad they put that in there because it was kind of like it kind of like. I feel like if it was just the fucking crow flying through a city, I would have been like, okay, this is kind of boring. So
cool.
So we are now at the time where both of us have picked. So now we get to pull one off of the Buddy Shots podcast nomination.
Huh?
And let's see here. What numbers do we have still? I think we have one number 9, 1 through 28, or no, 2 through. Fuck. Let's just say 1 through 28, and if you pick a number that's not on here, I'll tell you to pick again.
All right,
Make it a good one.
Three. You're like, well, we're doing Real Men again.
Riveting television here. Oh, wait, never mind. I was wrong. It's 1 through 31.
Holy cow.
But there is no 3 right now. Try again.
All right.
Sorry.
There is no 3.
We could talk about things like The Matrix.
22.
22. Hopefully that's a number. Okay, so this film is nominated by Slippin', Swiss Army Man.
All right.
Never seen this film before, but I've heard of it. I just haven't seen it. So
I've seen it, and you're in for a wild ride.
yeah, I have a feeling this is going to be like Tusk. Okay, so next week we will do that film, and then yeah.
Who is that Swiss Army Man?
This film I know at least stars Daniel Radcliffe, but that's all I know about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So, folks, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. So, thanks to the Buddy Boys and
Thank you. Buddy Boy Nation, shout out.
oh yeah, shout out to the Buddy Boy Nation. Are you fucking a Buddy Boy mini-me, or you just fucking with me today? Everybody's just effing. Okay, cool. We'll see you guys next week. See ya.